So I want to share a cautionary tale about how not to do indoor air quality monitoring, or really any sort of IoT or smart buildings program for that matter. So this was with a large Fortune 500 global tech company, and at headquarters they had a really great strategy around monitoring and ultimately improving indoor air quality and the indoor environment. The problem was that due to the large nature of the company, the teams are quite siloed, and this message didn't really make its way down into all of the local teams. And so what happened was, despite there being a strategy for multiple sites around the world to install monitors and then aggregate all that data into one platform where headquarters can look at it and have a team of data analysts sift through the data and make intelligent decisions around which sites should be prioritized and what decisions should be made. Despite having this, the team in India was completely unaware of this, and so they actually, totally independently, came to the conclusion that they should also be measuring indoor air quality, they should be installing sensors, and they should be using that data to make positive changes to their buildings. So totally independently and separately, they actually went through the entire procurement process, also chose vendors, and ironically enough, ended up also selecting Kytera, so the same brand that was chosen by the team at HQ. However, these two teams have very different needs. Right? The headquarters team wants to make sure that their data can get aggregated into one place, and they can easily view all this across all of their global sites. The team in India is primarily focused on saying, how can we get this data into our building management system so that we can make changes on a day-to-day basis based upon that data. Whether or not it goes to a centralized location doesn't really matter to them. And this had implications because when the devices were installed, they were not installed and wired in a way that would be easy to send that data to that central repository. And the problem here is, of course, that post-installation, HQ finds out and says, that's great, you've already installed monitors, perfect, you even installed the brand that we wanted to have installed. Now, can we have access to that data? And the answer is, well, we're actually going to have to go back and reconfigure those devices that we already installed because we were not aware of that requirement. And so luckily, the monitors are able to speak both to the central repository, to the cloud, as well as to the building management system at the same time. So you don't have to choose one over the other, but it's still an enormous pain and expense to go back and reconfigure all of those devices that have already been installed. If you've got 2 or 3, maybe it's not a big deal, but if you have 2,000, it's a very different story. And so this is a problem that could entirely have been avoided by having better communication, better execution on the strategy. And it's not a problem with it's not a technological limitation, right? It's not a problem that the technology cannot handle this. It is an internal communication and execution problem. And I see this coming up and happening much more often than I would like. So it's just a word of warning. If you are implementing an IoT strategy, if you're implementing sensors or any other sort of connected device, make sure that the strategy is well communicated throughout the organization so that you don't end up in situations like this.